What up, guys? I'm former UFC fighter and current owner of Easton Training Center, Elliot Marshall.
I'm Scott Nickel, teaching pastor at Flatirons Community Church.
Scott, am I fucking going to hell?
Yes.
Welcome to the Saint.
And the Sinner.
Let's do this.
Welcome, boys and girls, to the Saint and the Sinner. We have our new radio mic here.
Dude, look at this thing.
I feel like we should use radio voices.
I feel like we need some fucking girls and poles in this room.
We're all convinced it looks like a sex toy, but it would not be a beginner's sex toy at all.
Depends on how much sex you've had.
Well, I don't know.
And with
sex
who?
With machines.
With who, man?
I think you can't start with that one, man.
I sent you that text, right?
So it was a good weekend, man. UFC 178 happened this weekend, and I'll be honest, there's so many UFC cards now that, like, very few of them get me excited.
Do you know when the next one is?
Next week.
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah, I think there's a fight night one coming up, a Fox one.
I have no clue.
Oh, gosh. Stories.
Oh, yeah, they are advertising for it. Who is it? Rick Story and Gunnar Nelson in Stockholm.
Yeah, and I'm like, Rick Story, I think he's a great fighter, but wow, he's your headliner? I don't know.
Dude, I just missed this.
Missed what?
Like I got released right before they just let everybody in.
Oh, yeah,
everybody fight. Yeah, you know? And like dudes that no one's ever heard of be a main event, you know? Yeah. Like I just missed this by like 6 months. We wouldn't even be sitting here. I'd still be fucking fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
There's so many fighters.
You can lose like 4 fights and it doesn't even matter.
They just keep it coming. They gotta stock those cards.
I wonder if I should call them and be like, hey, can I get back in? Like, I know you, I mean...
Give him a ring.
You know, I'll fight. I'll do whatever.
Who else fought on this card? Brian Ebersol or Ryan Ebersol?
Brian Ebersol, yeah.
He's got like 70 fights.
Yeah.
And this was it his first one in the UFC?
No. He's fought a ton.
He was in the prelims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, let's get to it, Kat Zingano. Hell yeah, girl.
Kat Zingano had a great fight this weekend.
Great fight.
I really did. I texted you. I said I was afraid that they were going to call it in the first round because even though she kept moving, she ate some big punches.
I wasn't afraid they were going to call it because she never looked like she was that hurt.
I know, but I've seen so many early stoppages. You just never know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? So I was like yelling at the TV. I'm sure you probably were.
I was yelling at the TV too.
Yeah, just like get up, move. You know, you were talking about her covering her face. You know, she ate some big punches.
Yeah, man.
But it was cool to hear our boy Leister Bowling. They cut to the audio of Leister and Christian in the corner.
Yeah.
And coaching her up a little bit.
It was good. Leister did a good job.
Yeah, she pulled off what he told her to pull off. She got aggressive with the wrestling. Okay, so she had Nunez in what looked like a guillotine attempt twice.
And suplexed
her. The first one really seemed to rattle her, it seemed like, because...
You're not ready for it.
No. That doesn't happen.
So this is the thing, and this is the thing like what Ronda does to people too.
Yeah.
There's no girls that do that to you.
I've not seen many men do that in the you see it in the WWF.
Yeah, but there's no girls that do that to you. It's the whole thing where we're going to get into it with like why Machida's so difficult to deal with. Why this guy Yoel Romero is so difficult to deal with. Because the way in which they move and fight. Why Conor McGregor, who I have to tell you, man, I'm a fan. Oh my God, I'm a fan.
He's good for the sport. That's my whole point.
No, it's awesome. He's right though with what he says. It's so you can't mimic it. You don't know what it's like.
Right, you can't simulate.
It's why Ronda has just run through everybody because they keep doing the same shit that they were doing before to get to Ronda, and Ronda's a different animal.
Right.
You know, man. I believe Anderson just got old, and that's why Weidman did what he did. You know, like the guard's going to change somewhere, but this is why Anderson fucked everybody up.
Right, he's a different
beast. You couldn't get Anderson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when the Broncos watch tape on the Patriots, you can look at it and go, okay, this is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
And let's try to strategize for that. And everyone's real close, like like the skill levels, you know, and then the ability. But it's not that case with the fighting, you know?
Yeah. I thought Kat looked good in all aspects, especially the wrestling.
After the first 3 minutes.
Too, man. Credit to Elliot Marshall.
Oh, yeah, jiu-jitsu looked
good, man.
My 5 weeks with her got it done, son.
She had one really good arm bar. I thought the second one wasn't quite there, but she took some opportunities, went after it, and when she's on top,
she's brutal.
She's just good. She puts that shoulder in.
She's good.
You can tell she broke the girl's spirit for sure.
She broke her spirit after the first round.
Right.
The girl was done after the round she won.
Right.
Which was really strange.
Right. Well, I think
that, but she suplexed her in that first,
and I think that really rattled her. Like I think she not only like physically felt that, I think that like that did something to her spirit to fight. I really do. And then she did it again. Was it the third round?
The third round. You can't, when you feel like you can't physically handle somebody, it's scary.
Right.
Because it's just you and them in there,
mm-hmm.
you know, and they're trying to physically destroy you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
When you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can keep up.
So congrats to Kat Zingano,
yeah, man.
And thank the Lord that
because he had something to do with it. That's right. He cares. Thank the Lord. He cares about Kat Zingano's fight.
Thank the Lord that Dana White stopped talking about bringing in other folks to fight Ronda Rousey and gave the shot to Kat that she did.
Well, what was he going to do? He's got to have a backup plan.
Yeah, I get that. But and if Kat would have done poorly,
that's what I'm saying. If Kat would have done, you know, what if she would have won a shitty split decision?
Yeah, he needed a hype game.
He needed something coming behind it, you know? Now he's got it.
Yeah.
Now he's got it. Now it's like, oh, okay, she had 3 minutes of ring rust.
Right.
And then destroyed somebody.
Right.
You know?
And she's the only one so far that physically, like, she can jump in there with Ronda.
She's the only one that, when you just look at the two of them, that you go, okay.
Yeah, like that last girl that Ronda fought when we were at your house. That girl looked like an 8th grader compared to Ronda Rousey.
Well, she looked like a normal girl.
Right.
You know what I mean? She looked like a normal girl that you see walking on the street. She didn't look like an athlete.
Right.
Not that, like, you know, not that Ronda and Kat don't look like normal girls.
Right.
But you look at them, you're like, damn, that girl's
athletic.
fucking yoked, man.
Yeah.
These girls, every girl that she's fought so far, you're like, oh, yeah, good on you.
Right.
What do you do for a living?
Right.
When you look at Kat and Ronda, you go, damn,
They
what,
fight.
like, what, not even they fight, what sport do you play?
Something.
You know?
Yeah, which, by the way, Lisa's whole thing about sports last week threw me for a loop.
It did.
That whole thing about if you
play.
If you keep score, basically, it was kind of the bottom line, right? Like, if you play it.
No, if you play it. No, because you keep scoring wrestling.
You keep scoring wrestling, that's true.
Do you have the verb play in there?
Right.
I play soccer.
Right.
Not a sport.
Yeah.
If the verb is the sport, I wrestle,
you don't
I
say
fight.
I play run. No. I don't play track. You know. Yeah. Interesting.
It's interesting, right?
So Dominic Cruz in the prelims, that was pretty amazing. Guy almost 3 years out of the ring.
So Dominic Cruz, technically still the champ. Now, okay, not technically because they stripped him. He's the 135-pound champ of the UFC. Dominant. One loss ever early in his career to Uriah Faber. Avenged it twice, I think.
Twice. Yeah.
You know? So, never lost. Blown out ACL. Blown out ACL again. Torn ligaments. Like, man, 3 years of injury. So they had to strip him of his title, which TJ Dillashaw now has.
Right.
So, finally, he gets back in the ring this weekend, and he moved this way, man.
Oh. I was like, what's over
there? Praise the Lord I'm here to let this podcast can go on. So
Cruz gets the shot at Dillashaw now.
Crushes Mazaki.
Yeah, badly.
Who was the number 5 at the time. Right. Ranked higher than Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, they had to give Cruz, the 14 or 15 slot?
Something
like that, which is fine, but that's just not reality, you know?
Yeah.
So to give him, I think him and Dillashaw is going to be fantastic because Cruz's footwork is ridiculous. And that's the thing that Dillashaw, having been with Dwayne now, his head movement, footwork, and striking is so cool. The only thing I'm worried about is it could be really boring if they both land in that counter-punching, type of mentality. Who's going to go first?
Nah, man, neither one of them sits back and waits, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
It's true. But if you watch just the opening 30 seconds of Cruz's fight this weekend, his footwork is ridiculous.
It's retarded.
It's ridiculous.
It's
like
retarded.
you watch him like...
And it's Conor McGregor's point. It's Conor McGregor's point. People come in here to this mixed martial arts game, and I did this, with this traditional style.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I'm going to destroy you.
Yeah. He's big for his weight class. He's a big boy.
I like him, man.
Yeah,
I like him. He talks a lot of shit, right?
I have trouble with people that it's obvious that the shit they're talking is just to create hype, but at the same time, that is part of the fight game.
I disagree with you.
I like it more when I feel like this is for real from this dude. And I think Conor does a lot of it because he knows it gets him a lot of attention and it's good for his fights.
But what he says is it's not Chael Sonnen.
I never liked Chael Sonnen's smack talk. And here's the funny thing.
Go ahead.
Like, people swear that he's like I heard somebody the other day say Chael's the best smack talker in the history of the UFC. And I always thought it was canned, prepared. It was like he sat and wrote things on, note cards to say.
Oh, he did.
And he sounded so fake when he said it.
So that's what I'm saying. It's not Chael Sonnen.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor is not walking in with the UFC belt on his shoulder like Chael did.
Right.
Right. Like, it's not Chael.
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to say I'm the champ. Conor's not saying I'm the champ.
Right.
He's like, what? Dwayne's my boy. And Chad Mendes is Dwayne's fighter.
Right.
That was some funny shit what he said, man.
About Chad Mendes.
About Chad Mendes. It was good, man. Like, I'd be so pissed off if I was Chad, you know? Yeah. But it was still pretty funny and pretty witty.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe part of it is because I think Cody told me when they were in Ireland, in Boston maybe, when Cody had to go out there, that he introduced himself to Conor, and Conor asked him if he wanted his autograph. And Cody's like, no, I don't want your autograph, So maybe that's part of my beef with Conor McGregor. I don't know. So he's fun to watch, though.
It's fun to watch.
His style is so unorthodox. His
weird.
Kicks are really interesting.
It's weird. He gets it.
Did you think the stoppage was earlier on Poirier?
No, when you go down, when your face hits the canvas, you wake back up and your face hits the canvas again on the next punch.
Yeah.
You have to stop it.
And that's the thing I think people don't necessarily understand, because what people will see is here was Poirier on his back, fully awake, ready to fight.
Because the ref pulled him off.
Because the ref stopped it already, but you're exactly right. In that moment where he got hit in the back of the head, it took a few angles before I could even see where that strike hit, but he got hit right behind the ear.
Right here behind the ear,
jack up your equilibrium.
Which is a legal blow.
Yeah.
On the feet. If it's on the feet. If I do it to you when you're on the ground, it's not legal.
Right.
But if we're moving and I throw a punch, it's a legal blow.
Well, I forget who said this, but the leg kick lands behind the head
all the time. Yeah.
All the time.
That's why it's legal. Because the person's head's moving and you can't be that accurate.
Absolutely.
The problem is people, I don't know, let me ask all of you that are UFC fans, do you like watching someone get carried out on a stretcher and wondering if they're going to be okay? I mean, is that why you watch the UFC?
I think a lot of people do.
You think so?
I think a lot of people do. Until you're, like I remember in college, we would go out and rent, the UFCs when it was like UFC 3, 1, 2, 3, all that. And all you're looking for in that is like blood sport. Like you were just thinking like this is gonna be like a Van Damme movie. We want to see just some carnage,
I hate it.
But then when you're actually around it, like that changes for sure, And some people probably naturally don't gravitate towards that carnage.
I like watching fights. I like watching football. I don't like seeing people get really hurt.
I can't stand the I still remember to this day Willis McGahee's knee injury when he played for Miami in that big bowl game. I think it was against Ohio State. They kept showing that over and over again.
Right?
Like stop saying it. And even further back, was it Rashawn Salam when he was playing for the Bears, who basically hit I don't remember. He had the same thing happen, and he almost bled to death because of the internal injuries that caused from his knee and his leg, just from a knee. I can't stand watching that stuff.
It's terrible, right?
I do think though that a lot of people do like to see. Well, they love to see knockouts.
I'm not saying I don't mind a good knockout.
Yeah.
I like a good knockout, but man,
they've changed that terminology. Have you noticed that? It's there's no knockout of the night anymore. And do you think that's because of head trauma stuff, like concussions and all that they just don't want that verbiage?
I don't know.
I think that's it.
It might be.
I think it's a PR play, but
legal play.
Yeah.
A legal play.
Yeah. So
if they ever do get sued.
Yeah, and they will.
Somebody's gonna. Someone
play.
From my generation, the first,
who had
the first 15 years,
yeah.
The first 15 years of the sport is going to come 20 years down the road and be like, look how fucked up I am.
Class action type, just like with the NFL.
And they're going to settle out of court.
So we need to talk about the Kennedy-Romero fight a little bit, because there's a lot of weirdness in that fight.
So much weirdness.
Yeah, so for those who didn't see it, it was a really great fight. Kennedy usually puts on a great show, so does Romero.
Romero is a stud.
Yeah, is he, so jiu-jitsu wise, he stays standing.
I think jiu-jitsu wise is fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because if he wasn't, he would take people down.
That's what I would think.
Like when he took people down, he wouldn't just stand up off of them, which is what he did.
Right.
He just gets takedowns and gets up.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically Kennedy finished almost Romero at the end
in the second round. At the end of the second round, Romero was basically out on his feet. The only if the cage hadn't kept him up, he would have been falling down, and it would have looked really bad. And John McCarthy would have stopped the fight
for sure.
Yep,
for sure. So we go into the 1 minute break between round 2 and 3, and there's all this controversy because at the end of the minute, Romero's still sitting on his stool. His corner is out of the cage, I think, all the way. And Kennedy is standing up, coming up behind John McCarthy, going, stop the fight. Like, he's still sitting on his stool.
The problem was the commission was still in the cage.
Right.
And the commissioner was telling whoever to get the glob of Vaseline off of Romero's huge cut.
Big cut. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I didn't know that. I didn't know the commission.
The commission's like, get this off.
Yeah.
So then the corner comes back in, and the corner, nobody in the corner speaks English. You know? So
kind of a problem.
And it's a tense situation. It's a fire situation, you know? So when English is your not even your, you know, you don't even speak it. It's you're like, huh? You know, trying to, you know.
And meanwhile, Romero's just chilling
on the stool,
just recovering,
chilling on the stool. And I fault him not at all.
Yeah, that's
no fucking way. If the commission's not out of the cage, the fight can't start.
Right.
And he's telling, I'm gonna sit my ass right here.
The weird part is his stool was still there.
The weird part is the stool. Yes.
Like, because his corner either forgot, you know, his stool, which is a very odd thing to forget, or they did it on purpose.
Now,
I think they did it on purpose.
Probably,
conspiracy theorists.
Sure. But when you look at the end of the second round, and you didn't see it, right?
Right.
Tim Kennedy is grabbing inside Yoel Romero's glove, pulling him down and punching him. And these are the punches that knocked him out.
Just so everybody knows, you
cannot put your fingers inside the glove. You can grab the wrist, you can grab the hand, all the fingers. You know, you have to have 2 or more fingers, you know, but you can't hook the glove.
Right.
And he obviously knew whether it was intentional that that the grip was to hook the glove is something different. But he did, and he kept a hold of it.
Right.
You know, and he kept a hold of it and pulled.
Yeah.
And these are the punches that knocked him out.
Right.
You know?
So Kennedy's camp saying they're going to protest, which I don't even know.
Which they're going to. Okay, so we got to finish. So anyway, McCarthy comes over, wipes the Vaseline off.
He's starting to get mad. He's yelling at everybody.
But it's like 25 seconds.
Yeah.
Stands him up, go. Right?
Yep.
When you have a guy hurt, he's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? He's very dangerous. He's going to come out real hard right now. And Yoel Romero came out real hard and fucking caught Tim Kennedy with the punch and knocked him out.
Caught him hard.
Yeah,
that eye was jacked.
Yeah, man. Caught him hard and ended up TKOing him.
Yeah.
And then did you see the video backstage of Tim Kennedy yelling at Yoel Romero?
No.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
What was he yelling at Romero
Dude,
for?
If you can't get off the stool, the fight's over. The fight's over.
Yeah, he was just, that's a tough spot, right?
So here's the thing. When it was going on, Tim Kennedy probably wasn't that mad.
Right.
Because he was like, oh, wow, look at that. That dude's jacked. I'm going to fuck him up.
Right.
And then when it turns, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then everything goes, I had the fight won, I got cheated, you know, all types of things roll through your mind, you know. That's a hard thing to let go of for sure.
Yeah.
So what was the and then, you know, here's Cowboy, you know. Cowboy
man.
Fought great again. Alvarez, they brought in a guy who's
you better
really good striker.
Cowboy said it best. If you're going to get him, you better get me in the first.
Yeah, he's a slow starter for sure, you know. But those leg kicks he delivered on Alvarez, if Cowboy hadn't have followed him to the ground at the end of the third round, I don't think Alvarez could have stood up.
Yeah, it was over.
But, you know, I gave Cowboy credit, however you want to finish out the fight.
He's like, I don't care, man. I was tired, bro. I'll just stay right here.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's over.
Ride this out, you know.
Make sure that it's over.
I kept wanting Cowboy to take the fight to the ground anyway because I felt like Alvarez's only threat to him was standing up with his unorthodox strikes, you know.
Yeah.
Because Alvarez has a weird way of throwing this, like,
overhand.
He squares up and throws this little right hand.
Yeah.
And you think that a left hook's coming, and then eventually what he does is he actually throws the left hook. And it's big, you know. So I was afraid of that. But Cowboy looked great. And then Mighty Mouse, man. What do you think? Is he a lot of people are like, man, if he wasn't so
tiny,
he's the pound for pound best best fighter in the UFC, you know?
Dude, I think he is.
He's so fun to watch. He really is.
I think he is.
Really sound.
He's finished his last 3 or 4 guys, like...
in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got great submissions. He's good standing up. He's good wrestler.
And what a coach, what's his name is?
Yeah, his coach, I watched a little.
Matt Hume, man.
Yeah.
What a coach Matt Hume is. He was a good fighter, you know?
All over the world.
And what a coach, man. What a coach. Like, probably does it all. Holds the mitts, works on the wrestling. What a student, you know?
Yeah.
What a student.
Yeah. So this is a great card, man.
Good card.
I was one of those things where, like, I was really glad I paid for the fights. You know, there's been a few times that I'm like, man, why did I pay $50?
I only paid for it for Cat.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to watch Cat and Cowboy and
I knew Cowboy was on the card.
Conor McGregor. I wanted to watch that fight.
He's a star.
I thought Poirier had a chance. And
he's a star, man. That dude's a star, bro.
Yeah. He's on his way.
What Dana was saying, how the whole country was down.
That's how they are.
Ireland down.
Listen. I've been to Northern Ireland twice, you know, and I've never met a group of people that are more like what their stereotype is than Irish people, man. They drink, they fight, and they swear. And
they've never. I think it's shut down the way it shut down for this kid.
Yeah,
because they're not good at anything.
Yeah, what do they got?
They got nothing.
What do they got? You know, they got some soccer. You know,
yeah.
So fighting is a big deal.
But they're not good at it.
It's soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they don't win the fucking World Cup, man.
No.
Okay.
No, they got to deal with England and everybody over there, you know. So, yeah. All right, so I'm doing something a little different today. Elliot's not happy with me because I'm changing up the game. Because
Lisa said he can't keep up, man.
Lisa called me out and said,
so I have to sit here and be quiet.
And there has been a continual outcry from the very beginning of Saint and the Sinner for you to let me speak, Elliot.
Yeah,
and to quit bullying me.
Yeah, I know. It's not my fault you can't keep up, man. It's not my fault. Just like when how Amanda Nunes went back to her corner. It was like, I just can't keep up with this girl. It's not my fault.
We should do a coin toss to see who goes first.
No, I don't even care, man. I mean, my argument. You've heard all of my arguments. You know what I'm gonna say.
I don't know what you're gonna say. I thought you might pull something.
There's nothing new. I don't need anything new. But let's go.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a 2-minute drill, and I don't think all mine are gonna take 2 minutes.
I don't think all mine are gonna take 2 minutes either.
So you get to state something, and then you got to be quiet. You got to be quiet while they're stating something, and then you get a 1-minute response time. And Hank is going to be our time.
Is there a bucket for all the bullshit that's going to come out of your mouth
here? You get to go first.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, we're on your home turf. You get to go first, man. We're in.
I don't have 2 minutes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm going to plagiarize here. Because no one, I don't.
Plagiarism, if you actually quote it, you know, it's.
So you know.
Plagiarism's the best form of flattery.
So here we go. Ready? Ready? One. Oh man, I'm 7 seconds in, Hank. What are you doing?
So
this is not cool. Should I move the mic over to me?
We're good. You can talk.
9 million children every year under the age of 5 die.
9 mil.
9 million. Yes. Okay. To put it into your terms, this is like 24 Asian tsunamis like that happened a couple years ago. It's a couple thousand kids every hour or something, right? And think about these parents. Think about them. They're praying, most of them to the wrong God, but they're praying to God, right? To stop this. Please help my child. And when you put it in the terms of, oh, a little bit of suffering has to happen, I get it, you know what I mean? But this isn't a little bit of suffering. We're only talking about children under 5 that this is. Not even the ones that are 6 to 10. Because I'm sure that's even triple now. I don't know what the number is, you know? You're either evil or you're impotent. One or the other. You're either going to keep letting this go down, or you have no power to stop it, right? And most likely, you're going to send them and their parents to hell by something that you created, like India. You created the cultural separation of the Hindus. You did this. You're God, right? You put it out there. And now the punishment for them is going to be to burn for eternity. This is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. This is so dumb, it's not even funny. You either don't have the power or you're a fucking asshole and do not care. Right on it. Right on it.
On the
On the nose.
Really good.
On the nose,
Right on
son.
the nose. So I get a minute. Is that what
You get a minute.
All right. Here we go. I'm off. So 40,000 people die every day. Every day. You know, all around the world. 40. It's hard, isn't it? 40,000 people die every day. So you can start to break down, 9 million people every year, that are under 5. You can break it down any way you wanted to. The reality is, while we're sitting here having this podcast, a whole lot of people are going to die in a whole bunch of ways. Not just little kids in third world countries in terrible ways, but right down the street at Boulder Community Hospital, there's going to be people who are suffering, laying in their beds, weren't ready to die, didn't want to die, So the reality is, you can pinpoint one part of that you don't really like, and I don't think any of us would go, we really like the fact that little kids die in third world countries from malnutrition and all these types of things, right? But the reality is, you're not allowed to talk with your eyes either. The reality is...
God, I'm sorry, you're done.
Oh.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm pointing to the clock, man.
I can't do it,
I'm trying to help you out, son. You got no point. See, Lisa's right. There was no point. All you said was that 40,000 people every day die. Yes. Good job, Scott. Yeah. Thank you.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Shorter than I thought.
Thank you. Perfect. There we are.
I forgot about the 1 minute.
Who gets that round, Hank?
I defer to you. I defer to you because I was only through my intro when the minute was up, man. I was on my way, though. That was going to be good.
Yeah, good for you. I guess you don't get to make your damn point.
All about death all over the place and everything. Oh.
Go ahead, your turn for 2 minutes.
I'm not feeling good about 2 minutes at this point now. That's going to go faster.
So you're like, you can't point with your eyes. I was trying to tell you to make a
I know, I was
point.
like, what are you doing?
Because I could see you weren't going to get there in 5 seconds. I was like, you better say something worthwhile.
Hey,
Leister, there's one for the good team, baby.
I'm sorry that I couldn't solve the problem of evil in a minute. My bad.
This was not my idea. I would love to hear all of Scott's argument. He's the one that wanted to set these parameters and rules.
Oh, man. I even drank coffee this morning.
Let's get it, man. What do you have to say?
Turn.
Hold on.
I can't see that far.
I'll point. You want me to give you a thumbs up every 15 seconds?
All right. So you're always a fan of saying that atheism has no rules. Like there's no set of belief system that atheism dictates and things like that, which I think is completely untrue. There's some logical consequences to believing there is no God. So, and I think your boy Richard Dawkins has the courage to kind of play those out, along with some other kind of extreme people that people don't like to talk about, like Peter Singer, who we mentioned early in the podcast, who's the guy who thinks, if you don't want a kid that's, 2 years old or younger, that kid has some terrible disability or whatever, you should still be allowed to kill that kid. He's a eugenicist or whatever. So, we shared this discussion back and forth about Richard Dawkins a while back, who somebody tweeted to him saying that they found out that their unborn baby had Down syndrome, and Dawkins said just abort the baby and start over. You said you disagreed with Dawkins, which I'm totally cool with. That's fine for disagreeing. But I think that Dawkins is logically playing out his belief that there is no God and we have no value outside of the fact that we are a whole bunch of molecules colliding with one another. This is what proteins do at a certain temperature. And so you can't really fault somebody like Dawkins for having a belief like that, because they're actually playing out the natural outcome of atheism, which is that if there is no God, then what we do really doesn't matter, and it's up to each one of us to kind of figure that out. And so this idea that you can hold some sort of moral high ground on certain issues really just goes away, because there's no arbiter of what's actually good. Nobody gets to answer the question, who says? There's no actual authority on morality. It's just up to each of us to kind of figure out. And so Dawkins, in your view, should be allowed to do what he does, And I'll give you my last 4 seconds. That wasn't too bad. That's the most quiet.
I personally disagree with Richard Dawkins, but I don't think that his logic is necessarily wrong. And the reason that this works for me is because there is no written word that says I have to kill somebody for certain things, like in your book. So when I say there's no doctrine to atheism, right, we as a society, right, and as a people try to figure out what's the best for us, right, and killing and murdering and raping and enslaving, as your book and all of them tell us to do, instruct us by your all good and mighty God, okay, to do all over the place, because I don't think that we've found any more bodies on this earth dead than from religion, than from any other cause. So how yours is moral and mine is not is beyond me. I have no doctrine. I look at my day every day and I am like, how am I going to put together the best life that I can put together and hand out the most pleasure to me and the people around me so that we're all happy? Bang, done. And I actually made a goddamn point.
All right, your turn now.
I don't understand, because we said we would get into this, how you get around all the things that happen in the Old Testament. I really don't understand, because Jesus is very, very clear that he is not here to write a new rule, that all of those rules still stand, right? I don't get it. And furthermore, I don't get how some things, I don't need 2 minutes on this one, I don't think. I don't get how some things in the Old Testament that the Bible says, and maybe even the New Testament too, are okay and some things are not. Let me give you an example. Gay marriage. Gay marriage and sex before marriage. It's both very clear, the punishment for both of them in the Bible. Yes? Can you just nod your head? Yes. Okay. It's yeah, you know? And it's death, right? It's death for the gay marriage, right? And you guys keep saying that, no, gay marriage is no good, no good, no good, no gay marriage. And I'm not talking as a society, the Bible, right? So I don't want you to argue the society thing. Right? Like, it's no good, the society will fall away, you know? The Bible says it, that's why you believe it, and that's the only reason that you believe it. However, when we sat here and had the sex before marriage debate, which it also says is no good in the Bible, you were like, yeah, you know, try not to do it, but if you do it, it's not really that big of a deal. So how is that, they're both rules in the Bible. How is that no big deal, not a big deal? But however, gay marriage is so bad. Why do you hate gay people so much? Why do you hate them? It doesn't make sense to me why in the world you could possibly go, this one, we got to follow this one to a T. To a T. And this one over here, I know I'm going to do it. And I know all of you are going to do it. So let's just make it not that big of a deal. It's just a little hypocritical in my opinion. But your whole damn book is, so. People are not going to like, hold on, stop the time. People are not going to like my condescending tone.
Yeah, but they're all going to be like, he has to get it out somewhere, you know what I mean? All right, so there's a couple things. You have to differentiate between what's prescriptive and descriptive in the Old Testament. People make a big mistake of saying just because it happened in the Old Testament means that's what the Bible's actually prescribing to be done in the Old Testament. So not everything that you read in the Old Testament was prescribed to be done. Now, some of those things, like the laws you're talking about, like the death penalty for having gay sex or something like that, those were laws that were in place at a point in time in what was known as a theocracy, meaning the nation of Israel was ruled by God. They didn't have a king, they didn't have a government, that kind of thing. So it was a unique moment in time. So when Jesus comes along and he says, I came to not to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law, what that means is some of those laws were being fulfilled in Christ, and some of those laws would continue on. So you have to look in the New Testament to see what was actually prescribed by Christ and the New Testament authors versus what was fulfilled by Jesus on the cross.
I want more time. What for you?
Oh.
Why are gay people allowed to? And why is gay sex no good, but sex before marriage is okay?
Well, I never said sex
before
marriage
was
okay.
You said it's not that big a deal, man.
But that was in a response to a question where you said, why does your team make such a big deal? Yeah. Why are they so infatuated?
I know.
And all I was conceding...
So I want to know how... Go ahead.
So all I was conceding was, yeah, I totally agree that our team, you know, has had this overemphasis on sex and made it like the central number one... like
gay sex included?
Sex is like whatever you were saying, you know.
We were only talking sex before marriage.
Such a big deal. And I was like, I agree. Like, we've become infatuated by it, and we've made it like the unforgivable sin. And it's not. If you mess up, pick yourself up and move on. Just like if you tell a lie, pick yourself up and move on.
So gay people...
I wasn't saying it wasn't wrong.
You can't get away from the difference because you're so against gay marriage, and you're not so against sex before marriage, and they're so clear. They're both so clear that they're both this eternal sin. So why is one okay and forgivable, and the other one you have to burn in hell for eternity because you're a faggot?
No, the reason I'm against gay marriage, and I think we fleshed this out, is primarily an absolutely pragmatic one that has nothing to do with God.
You're not being honest.
No, it really is, and I am being honest.
No, you're not.
Because of that slippery slope argument that I made really, really clear that you have no response to. When that happens,
I hear what you're saying, but if your book didn't say no gay marriage, you'd be fine with it because there's no non-Christian or religious person that actually gives a rat's ass.
No, all of society.
Find them. Find me 100. Find me 100 people find me 100 atheists. Right? Find me 100 atheists that actually give a rat's ass if gay people get married. It's just like the race thing.
All societies over the course of all of human history have always viewed marriage as one man and one woman. This is not a revolutionary belief.
I know. We had no atheists 100 years ago.
There were plenty of atheists.
There was like 2 of us. Your people killed us, but we got to move on. This isn't what we agreed to do. You still didn't answer the question. I know. But you didn't answer my question.
Which one?
Why are gay people so bad? And because you know you're going to bang. You know that all of your people that go to church on Sunday are going to bang before they get married. So you give them a pass.
No,
but you don't give the gay people a pass.
We talked about that. Nobody gets a pass.
Oh, that's right. All you have to do is say sorry, and we all get a pass. Go 2 minutes.
Whose turn is it?
Yours.
It's my turn. All right. Your 4 pillars are such a smokescreen, man.
For what?
Like your 4 pillars are like this big, huge, like distraction that you're trying to run over here for. I think what's a much deeper, more important question that you need to wrestle with. So a lot of your 4 pillars, you and I have found some points of agreement on. Like there's even things about abortion that you and I agree about, but yet you've made that one of your big 4 pillars. Gay marriage. Evolution, we found points of agreement on, and then we never really talked about your stem cell one that much, I don't think. But so at the end of the day, like, we can find all kinds of different points of agreement and disagreement on those issues out there. But it seems to me if the real question involved was an eternal one, where will we spend eternity? If that's a real question, then those things are worth talking about. Like, those are all debates to have and discussions to have. But at the end of the day, doesn't the question really become, is there a God or is there not a God? And if so, has he revealed himself in this person named Jesus, who there's all this evidence that he rose from the dead? So it comes down to those 2 things, man. So you can talk about abortion, euthanasia, and all these different things, but you have to really wrestle with, is there a God, and what about this guy named Jesus? Because at the end of the day, no other Jewish carpenter has become the most famous person in all of human history. Like, no other person has been able to wreck the world the way Jesus has. So how did he do that? And I'm using that phrase on purpose because he is divisive. Like, how is it possible that this guy who lived this long ago is still this famous, has had this much impact, has done this many things, apart from the fact that there's some tremendous evidence that he's God and that he actually did rise from the dead?
So before Jesus, there were plenty of people that did the same thing before him. So we're just in this 2,000 years since Jesus. Let's see. Who knows if we're still going to be here in 4,000 years? Let's see what happens, and we're not going to know. So it's real convenient because we never know. You know where we're going to spend eternity? In the ground, and that's where you and I, Hank and Jay, and all the rest of us are going to spend eternity. Do I believe in God? I don't know if I believe in. I believe that there's a possibility that something is out there. You have 0 evidence. There is 0 evidence. Some dudes wrote a book 40 years after something happened. 0. There is not a single shred of actual evidence that Jesus did any of the things he talked about. I don't know how it spread this well. They did a great damn job, right? Because you can't explain all of the things that happened. And my next answer is going to bleed into this one. My 2 minutes. You can't explain it. They couldn't explain it. All right, I'll take my 2 minutes. So, the reason that religion is what it is, okay, is because 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, whatever it was, you didn't know why the sun came up. You didn't know. So let's just give the credit to God. Let's give the credit to this extraterrestrial superpower, right? That controls our life. As you can see, as we move through time, atheists are actually coming. More of us, right? Because we can see we have answers. We have absolute answers. You don't believe in evolution. It's the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. It really is. And you say you don't have a problem with it. This is the problem with religion. You can look at actual evidence, truth, 100% truth, beyond a doubt, and go, why should I believe in that? That's like saying a wheel doesn't go around. That's like saying the sun doesn't come up every day and that my name's not Elliot. Your people allow for thought that's like that. You do, because it doesn't matter what any truth is. Because if God says so or some mystical whatever bullshit you want to believe. And even more so, you allow for ISIS. You and ISIS, I hate to tell you, are on the same damn team. The exact same team. Because you would be them. You would be them. All of you would have no problem with ISIS. I can sit there and condemn them to death. Because I think their whole mentality, their whole delusion is absolute bullshit. Going around killing people because some mystical man in the sky. It's the same mystical man. You just believe different about what happened afterwards. Right? You can't condemn them. You believe in the God that actually sets these raw laws and tells people what it is and to do and not to do in a supernatural way. I went 2 seconds over.
All right. So I'll let you and ISIS are on the same team thing.
No, answer
play out there in the public realm.
No, these people
ridiculous.
People are
ridiculous. You know that's ridiculous.
It's not.
You can't look at me and say me and ISIS are on the same team.
You just happen to be born in America.
I see the point you're trying to make, but it's not founded. So here's the second thing. The longer we
hold on, start his minute over. No, start his minute over because I was still talking.
The really cool thing about the further we advance in science is the more evidence we have for God. So you may say people created religion to give an explanation as to why the sun came up. Now we actually know why the sun comes up, and the further we push that back, the more questions we have and the less answers we have, and the more apparent it is that there's a God. So that's one of the reasons why I really like science so much, is because I have zero fear of science actually proving that God doesn't exist. Actually, science does this great job of doing exactly what you say it doesn't do, which is to provide all kinds of evidence for God, which is going to lead really great into my next 2 minutes. So you're going to get your time to respond. All right. So I think that as we examine the universe, the more and more it becomes clear that, wow, the likelihood that we exist on accident is just a ridiculous proposition.
God created man from dust, huh? Really?
Hold on, I'm gonna get.
Really?
You can hold on. You're gonna, because this is in the same.
Go ahead. Just get how people got here. Any day you want.
Oh, see, start my time over. He's still talking.
Start his time over. I just want to hear how people got here.
I don't understand. Okay. I don't understand why you call yourself an atheist, number one, because you always continually come back to there could be a God. So I don't know why you don't say you're agnostic. You just go, we don't know. You're atheistic towards the Christian God, but you can't say you're an atheist overall, because you always come back and say there could be. So there's that. But I also don't understand why you don't think there's evidence for God. When you look at the fine-tuning of the universe, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, Elliot. You're the math major. Come on, bro. I thought they taught you better down here at CU Boulder, man.
Stop the time for a second.
No, you're not stopping the time in the middle.
I just want to give you a high five to come at me, son. You finally came at me. Fuck yeah. Go.
All right. So I sent you some of these numbers the other day. The possibility of life on Earth, man, is like winning the lottery 34 times, not just 34 times, but consecutively. So the same dude playing the numbers and winning 34 times. And we've talked about this before. If the Earth were just a little bit closer to the sun, if it were a little bit further away, if the moon were a little further away, there would be no possibility of life on Earth. And nobody has come up with any answer to how that has happened, how we sit on like this razor's edge of possibility. I mean, it's just astronomical, the numbers that have to come into play for us to even be here. It's almost as if someone's holding us together. So I don't know why you don't believe that there's at least a God out there. You don't have to believe in the Christian God, but I don't know why you don't believe that there's someone or something out there that set this all in motion, because the only answer that anybody's ever tried to come up with to that fine-tuning argument is this multiverse theory, that there's many, many, many universes out there, and there's some sort of universe Kickstarter that's spitting those things out. The problem with that argument is there's absolutely zero evidence for it. Hank's over here doing some crazy stuff. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I still had 3 seconds left.
There's no evidence for your God either. There's not a single thing. So you're going to ask me for evidence. I don't know how it started. When I see some evidence, then I'll start believing it. Right? But you just go, oh, I can't explain it. Nobody can explain it. So therefore God. A plus B equals Z. Makes no sense. Like I said, we used to not know how people got here. We used to not know how the sun came up. We used to not know how the universe got here. We still don't, right? We used to not know how the earth got here. We used to think the earth was 10,000 years old. We know that's not true, right? You want to go about all these things that we as a society and the people are learning about still? I don't know if we'll ever get there. I couldn't tell you, right? I have no clue if we're ever going to get to any of these answers, right? We're not there right now, right? But that doesn't mean God. It just doesn't. You jump right to it. And there's no logical conclusion about why there is a God. You just jump.
Nice.
I'm a ninja, man. Amal does not give out black belts just for being good at jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, I don't know who's going to give him his black belt. It's not going to be like my black belt.
I'm used to having 40 minutes on one of those right there.
I know.
And then I always go into the red on that too. I'm always like a couple minutes long.
The reason you have 40 minutes is because you have to set up so much bullshit to get people to buy into what you're going to tell them.
Oh, man. All right, so we got
time still. We can do this. We're not even close, right?
We got to work out still today. It's 8 a.m. We did it.
I know, but we started way late.
Yeah.
Let's go one more.
All right.
I don't even know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
All right. I believe that
we're doing one more round of like 2 minutes? Oh, okay. Cool.
I don't need it. It's okay.
Did we skip your last round?
What's that? No, it's okay.
We did it. Okay.
What are you so afraid of? Because this whole thing is based on fear. Just wake up in the morning, right? And try to understand who you are. Not with God, just by yourself. Just be okay with being everything that you are. And you said it last week. I'm not perfect. Right? So what? What's perfect? Why do you have to be perfect? Just be okay with Scott Nickel. And every morning when you wake up, just go, man, I'm going to try to do the best I can today. And not because I'm afraid that I'm going to get punished. And that's what it is. It's a fear that you're going to get punished. And that's why you believe in Jesus. Because you know you're going to make mistakes. Mistakes are the beauty of it all. And then you get to come back and learn from them. You get to come back, and when I watch Kanan play soccer, and I watch him fall down and not get up, I get to go and go, okay, Kanan, when you fall down, right, when somebody pushes you down, let's work on that. So this week I would kick the soccer ball ahead, push him down, make him get up and run after, and we had fun. And it was a great time. We just get to work on the self and truly understand who it is that I am. You don't need this Jesus figure. You don't need this story and this bullshit to be a good person. It's not necessary. It's just a fear of what happens when you die. Don't worry about your death. Just live every day like today could be the last day. And then, man, if it is, it is. And if it's not, it's not. And be fun and have fun and be happy.
Look at that.
I'm a fucking ninja, man.
It's really impressive.
I'm a ninja, bro. You don't understand.
I have to concede that point. All right. I don't want to be an asshole as I say this, but I find it unbelievably ironic that you keep coming back to what do you guys, or what am I so afraid of, when a few weeks ago that was one of your biggest admissions about yourself, was that I'm constantly afraid. I'm worried. You've dealt with all kinds of anxiety and fear and all kinds of stuff like that. So if we're both on the same ground with fear, I don't understand what the indictment is, because you're basically yelling at me for being afraid and then saying, but I am too, and it's okay. So I don't really understand that. The beauty of Christianity at the end of the day is I'm free to make mistakes, and nothing hinges on those mistakes. And so there is a difference between mistakes, like I fall down playing soccer, and sin, like sinning against God. Those are two different things. And so the beauty of grace is, and the beauty of Christianity is, I'm actually freed up to be very comfortable in my own skin, because Jesus has done for me what I can't do for myself. I always leave it with 2 seconds left.
I am very fearful. I'm a fearful person.
Right.
But I'm not afraid to not work on it.
Well, neither am I.
What's that?
You know that about
but
me.
I don't have a crutch. You have a crutch.
I'm okay with admitting that I need a crutch. I'm okay with admitting that, like,
but
I
you
am.
don't.
Weak,
but nobody needs it. It's a crutch. It's a crutch that you'll never get away from. You don't need it.
I'm totally comfortable admitting weakness. Like, that's not. But
it's so unnecessary. You don't need the crutch. And all these people believe in this crutch and then believe in all this other bullshit because of it. It's sad, in my opinion. It really is. Just sit down for a minute every day and do almost the same thing, right? Do almost the same exact things. I'm not saying that your practices are bad, right? Like praying, and all that stuff. I'm not saying that the practice of thought and all that stuff, they're great practices. Just the one piece is such crap.
Right.
Just do the same exact thing. Leave Jesus out of it. And when you die, you die.
But why do you care if other people have that view? Is it just because of those 4 pillars?
Because what that view causes is all of this death. Look at the world, man. Look at it.
So this is going to go to your post that you put on.
A little bit, it does. Look at the world. And his post is brilliant because you don't let your children make an honest opinion. No religious person does. Don't say a word. Don't say a word to your kids, and just let them come to whatever they come to.
That'd be a really unloving thing to do.
Well,
if I'm right.
But this beautiful God will come to them. In your opinion, He will show themselves to him.
Except that this beautiful God tells me to raise my kids in a certain way.
Because he because the people that wrote that book know that you need to start the bullshit feeding in the ear at a really young age, and then it doesn't go away, and then they'll always have something in their head going, oh man, it's like the sex thing. Sex is so bad. Sex is so bad. Sex is so bad. Don't do it before I'm married. Don't do it before I'm married. Oh, I'm married. Oh shit, I feel like a dirty whore.
Yeah, that would just be the wrong way to do it. That's not the way I'm teaching my kids. That's
what the Bible says.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It so does.
No,
it so does.
No, the Bible has a whole book of the Bible about sex. It's awesome. It's a really good book too.
Are there naked chicks?
Well, there's no pictures.
But you can see the titties?
Yeah, in fact,
you can see where we would put this nice thing. You can see where we put this
Jewish
nice
boys weren't even allowed to read it until they turned like 13, until they were met, because it was so X-rated. So Song of Solomon, go read it tonight, man.
No problem. Just don't be afraid. You don't need the crutch. You can get.
Quit saying don't be afraid when you're allowed to be afraid.
No. I'm not allowed to be afraid. I'm not allowed. But I have it. I have it. Right? I'm not saying that we don't have it.
Right.
But you can deal with it without the crutch. You don't need the crutch. It's unnecessary. It's 100% unnecessary.
What is your crutch? How are you dealing with it?
The mirror. Every day I look in the mirror.
Okay, so that's your crutch.
What's that?
That's your crutch.
Me. I'm my crutch. I'm my own crutch. So it's not a crutch. It's not a crutch.
So you have this weakness, you have this tendency towards fear, and you're going to lean on self-help and improvement.
And I'm going to lean on the fact that I know the self of Elliot Marshall, nothing else, will work this out. And if I don't, maybe I'll learn something from it. And when I die, this whole thing will be over. I won't be conscious. I will be 6 feet under the ground, my body. I have no clue, just as you have no clue where else we'll go. And nobody will die because of what I believe in.
Lots of people have died.
Not because of what I believe in. Not because of atheism.
That's what I was trying to point out. Is but has all kinds of consequences.
It does not have any consequences. Because there's no rule that says I have to kill somebody if they don't believe like I believe. And not just yours. Every single religion has this rule.
The worldview of atheism opens itself up to human beings have no value. And that is why millions of people have been killed under the banner of we can kill you because you have no value. You are not created in the image of God. You are not anything other than proteins doing this at a certain temperature, and we don't like you anymore. And so why would it be wrong? Let me ask you this, we should probably land at some point, but why would it be wrong for somebody to say, why don't we thin the herd, and why don't we get rid of all the bad DNA and bad hereditary traits and genes in the gene pool, so when we see somebody who has something like spina bifida or whatever it is, we should kill them and not allow them to procreate. Based on atheism, why would that be wrong?
Why would it be wrong?
Right.
Because when you and I sit here, okay, if you need God to tell you that not killing people is wrong, if that's what you need for that to be true, you have a lot more deeper things that you need to think about for yourself. If you don't break into my house because of God, right? Because let's pretend I have $1 million in cash in my house. If you don't do it because God tells you not to, then you're a bad person.
Well, then some of your people are bad people.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there's not bad people.
But I'm saying
but it's not God. It's not God.
Playing out that worldview.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
Dawkins says, man, abort that baby if that baby has Down syndrome. And Peter says,
yeah, for sure.
If that kid has spina bifida.
And, but not because of anything that what does Santa Claus tell us to do?
They are the ones saying.
Tell me what a non-belief in Santa Claus looks like.
Those guys are saying.
No. Tell me what it looks like.
This is what those guys are saying. Our worldview means there is no right, there is no wrong, so let's just do this.
Their worldview, personally,
which is atheism.
I think they're going to get outnumbered. And that's not going to be allowed because that's not how the majority think. But your worldview,
you know why?
The majority of atheists, your worldview tells us to kill.
No,
oh my God, guys, it so does.
You guys.
If a man layeth with another man, as he layeth like a woman, because that's how it says it, right? Woman. Then therefore his punishment is he has committed. What's the word? He has committed. I don't know. There's some fucking dumb word, right? Then and the punishment is death, son.
There are lots of punishments for death.
Yeah, kill them all, bro.
Picking up sticks.
Eye for an eye. You guys just don't have the balls to follow what your book says. No, you came through a Christian Reformation that happened in like the 1500s. You don't have the stones to say, all right, you don't believe in Christ? Dead, motherfucker. Because that's what the book says.
The Reformation had nothing to do with
it. Oh, yeah, it does.
No, it didn't.
The Islam just happened done it.
All right, boys and girls, it was a fun episode. I don't know if people will like this format or not. We'll see what they think. But I know your team's not going to be every week. Your team's not going to like the format. You didn't answer the damn questions. That won't be every week. Just on the first one, man. I didn't get my time in, or I didn't spend it correctly. So, all right, great UFC card this past weekend. Good discussion today. Everybody watched the Leicester bowling episode. That was good times. Anything else?
Shitty Sunday with no Broncos.
Yeah, I didn't even watch any football.
I watched a little bit. Shitty Sunday with no Broncos. I'm excited that they'll be back.
Yeah, I was hiking all day with my family.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
It was cool. We saw some bear.
Yep. You know what I was doing.
Oh, I know what
you're doing.
All right.
All right, guys.